Okay, let me ask you something. You ever been in a packed room, music playing, people laughing, but on the inside, you feel like you're a million miles away? Just completely disconnected? What if I told you that exact feeling, that quiet, sinking sense of being on the outside looking in, is secretly doing as much damage to your long-term health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day? Yeah, it sounds insane, but the science on this is chillingly clear. And if you've ever felt that way, listen up. You are not crazy, and it is not just in your head. That feeling is a biological alarm signal, an ancient code. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what that alarm is trying to tell you. How loneliness is secretly rewiring your brain, tanking your immune system, and literally changing how you see the world. And most importantly, stick around, because we're going to break down this science-backed playbook on how to finally shut that alarm off for good.
All right, so to really understand what's happening, we have to get one huge thing straight. Being alone is not the same as being lonely, not even close. You can spend an entire weekend by yourself, reading a book, maybe hiking a quiet trail near the North Shore Mountains, and feel totally recharged and at peace. That's solitude. It's something you choose, and it's often restorative. Loneliness is the opposite. It's the feeling that chooses you. It's that deep ache you can feel at a crowded concert or even while sitting at the dinner table with family. That's because loneliness isn't determined by the number of people in your life. It's determined by the quality of those connections. It is the painful, perceived gap between the meaningful social bonds you want and the ones you feel you actually have. Think of it this way. Loneliness is a survival signal, just like hunger or thirst. When you're hungry, your body is telling you it needs food. When you're thirsty, it needs water. When you're lonely, your brain is sending a powerful, ancient signal that a crucial resource for human survival is missing: genuine, meaningful connection. It's not a character flaw, it's a biological alarm bell, and we need to listen to it. So that alarm bell of loneliness we just talked about, what happens when it goes from a brief ding to a constant blaring siren that you can't turn off? The first place it hits, and the hardest, is right here, inside your head. And this is critical to understand. Loneliness doesn't just make you feel sad. It actively hijacks and rewires your brain's entire operating system, changing the very way you perceive reality. The main way it does this is through a process called hypervigilance. That's a fancy word, but the concept is simple. Imagine your brain has a threat detection system, like a home security camera. Its job is to look out for danger. When you feel safe and connected, that system is calm. It knows the difference between a falling leaf and an actual intruder. But when you're chronically lonely, your brain thinks you've been kicked out of the tribe, left to fend for yourself. That's a code-red survival threat. So it cranks the sensitivity of that security camera all the way up. Suddenly, everything looks like a potential threat. Your brain starts obsessively scanning your social environment for any hint of rejection or negativity. Let me paint a picture. It's a Wednesday afternoon, just like today. You text a friend, "Hey, wanna hike the Grouse Grind this Saturday?" And then, nothing. An hour goes by, 2 hours. The check marks are blue, but there's no reply. Now, a securely connected brain thinks, "Oh, they're probably just swamped at work. They'll get back to me later." But the lonely, hypervigilant brain, it goes into a spiral. It tells you a different story. They saw it. They're ignoring me. Did I say something weird? They probably don't like me anymore. I bet they're already making other plans with cooler friends. Every neutral event is interpreted through the most negative possible lens. A friend being quiet isn't just tired, they're mad at you. An unreturned smile from a stranger isn't because they were distracted, it's proof that you're unlikable. This happens because the brain's fear center, the amygdala, becomes overactive. It's an ancient protective mechanism gone haywire in our modern world. Living in this constant state of high alert is mentally exhausting. It's the perfect breeding ground for anxiety and depression. Think about it. If you're constantly anticipating social pain and rejection, you'll naturally feel anxious about every interaction. And if you feel that way long enough, that anxiety gives way to a sense of hopelessness and withdrawal. That's depression. It's no surprise that countless studies, including a major meta-analysis in the journal Psychological Bulletin, show an incredibly strong two-way link. Loneliness fuels depression, and depression in turn makes you pull away, deepening the loneliness. It's a devastating feedback loop. But the damage doesn't even stop there. It seeps into your ability to think. Your brain's processing power is a finite resource, like your phone battery. If hypervigilance is constantly running in the background, scanning every face and text message for threats, it drains that battery. There's simply less mental energy left for everything else, for focusing at work, for making good decisions, for regulating your impulses. And this cognitive fog has frightening long-term consequences. This is probably the most shocking part. The sustained stress and inflammation caused by loneliness directly impact brain health over time. A massive 2018 review in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry looked at data from tens of thousands of people. Their conclusion was staggering. Chronic loneliness is associated with up to a 40% increased risk of developing dementia. Let that sink in. The feeling of being disconnected doesn't just hurt your heart emotionally, it can physically harm your brain for years to come. It's a silent erosion of who you are, from your mood to your memories, and it's all happening under the surface.
As if rewriting your brain's software wasn't enough, this is where the story takes a physical turn. Because your mind and your body are in constant conversation. And when your mind is screaming that you're in danger, your body listens, and it prepares for a battle that never comes. The main chemical messenger in this process is a hormone you've likely heard of, cortisol. You can think of it as your body's built-in alarm system. It's fantastic for short-term crises, like if you were to stumble upon a black bear while hiking up here on Mount Seymour. Your cortisol would spike, giving you that jolt of energy to get to safety. But chronic loneliness puts your body in a state where that alarm is always on. The bear is the constant nagging feeling of being unsafe and disconnected. Your system gets flooded with cortisol day after day. Over time, your body becomes desensitized to it, and this has a paradoxical effect. It allows another process to run completely wild. That process is inflammation. Now, inflammation isn't inherently bad. It's your body's biological fire department, rushing to an injury to clean up and start repairs. But chronic, low-grade inflammation is like that fire department constantly spraying water all over your house 24/7, even when there's no fire. It doesn't fix anything, it just starts causing widespread damage to the structure itself. And that cellular damage shows up in very real ways. First, it sabotages your immune system. A body that's constantly fighting these imaginary fires has fewer resources left to fight actual invaders. This is why you might notice that when you're going through a period of feeling isolated, you catch every single cold that makes the rounds during those damp Vancouver winters. Your body's defenses are just compromised. Second, and far more dangerously, this inflammation wages a silent war on your heart. It damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels, making them stiffer and promoting the buildup of plaque. This directly leads to high blood pressure, heart disease, and other cardiovascular nightmares. This isn't just a theory. A landmark study published in the journal Heart tracked over 180,000 adults and found that loneliness and social isolation increase the risk of having a heart attack by 29% and the risk of having a stroke by a staggering 32%. It's a physical threat on par with well-known risk factors like obesity. And if all that wasn't enough, loneliness follows you to bed. It's getting late here, almost 10 p.m., and for many people, this is when that feeling gets loudest. The hypervigilance we talked about earlier doesn't just switch off. Your brain stays on high alert, preventing you from sinking into the deep, restorative sleep you need. You might get your 8 hours, but they're filled with tiny micro-awakenings as your brain does its nightly safety checks. You wake up feeling exhausted, which, in turn, spikes your stress and inflammation even more. It's a cascade of physical failure, all sparked by a feeling. It shows us that connection isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a biological necessity.
So your mind is on high alert, your body is under siege, and after a long day, that feeling of isolation can feel heavier than ever. You know logically that connection is the answer, but here's the cruelest part of this entire story, the part that turns loneliness into a trap. Loneliness creates a vicious feedback loop. It makes you desperately crave human connection while simultaneously destroying your ability to build it. Remember that hypervigilant brain we talked about, the one that sees rejection around every corner? It puts you on the defensive. You walk into a room expecting not to fit in, so you might keep your head down, avoid eye contact, or give off a guarded vibe without even realizing it. Other people sense that wall and they naturally keep their distance, which your brain then logs as more evidence for its core belief. See, nobody wants you here. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. On top of that, your social skills are like a muscle. When you're isolated, that muscle atrophies, it gets rusty. A simple conversation can start to feel like a high-stakes job interview. You overthink what to say, you get awkward, and the interaction feels clunky. This just reinforces the idea that you're bad at socializing, making you even more hesitant to try again next time. It's a prison built by your own brain to protect you from potential pain, but the walls end up keeping out the very thing you need to survive. This is why just getting out there isn't the solution. First, you have to understand how to dismantle the trap from the inside.
Okay, that was a lot of heavy stuff. We've been through the mental fog, the physical toll, and the cruel paradox that keeps people trapped. But if you have stuck with me this far, through all of that darkness, I want you to listen closely, because this is the most important part of the entire video. The very same brain that learned its way into loneliness can learn its way out. It's called neuroplasticity. Your brain is not set in stone. It is designed to change. The key isn't to just try harder, it's to train smarter. And here is your science-backed training plan. First, and this is the most powerful strategy, find a shared purpose. The goal here isn't to force face-to-face, high-pressure conversations. It's to connect side by side. Find an activity where the focus is on the task, not the small talk. Here in North Van, that could mean joining a trail maintenance group on Frome Mountain, volunteering at the local animal shelter, or signing up for a pottery class at the community center. When you're all focused on the same goal, be it weeding a garden or building something, the pressure to be charming and witty just melts away. Connection becomes a natural byproduct, not a stressful objective. And research confirms this. A 2020 study on volunteering showed it directly boosts your sense of purpose, which powerfully counteracts feelings of loneliness. Second, you have to learn to argue with your brain. Remember that hyper-vigilant voice that tells you the worst-case scenario? You have to treat it like a skeptical lawyer. When your brain says, "That person didn't smile back, they must think I'm a loser," you stop and challenge it. Ask, what's another, more likely story? Maybe they were lost in thought about their stressful day. Maybe they just got bad news. Maybe they didn't even see you. It's almost 10:30 p.m. now. If someone didn't text me back, they're probably just asleep. By consciously challenging these automatic negative thoughts, you weaken their power over time. Third, lower the stakes dramatically. Your social muscle is out of shape, so you can't start by trying to deadlift a huge social event. You start with the lightest possible weight. Your mission tomorrow isn't to make a new best friend. It's to make eye contact and give a small nod to the cashier at the grocery store. It's to say, Have a good one to the barista. That's it. Each tiny, low-stakes positive interaction is a successful rep. It's a small piece of data that proves to your brain that the world is safer than it seems. These aren't overnight fixes. They are practice, but they are the real, tangible tools that dismantle the trap and rewire your brain for the connection you deserve.
So in the end, loneliness isn't a life sentence to be served in silence. It's simply a signal. It's a compass pointing you back toward a fundamental human need, and it's a signal that you absolutely have the power to answer. Let's build a resource in the comments. Share one small thing, no matter how simple, that helps you feel a little more connected. Your idea might be exactly what someone else needs to see tonight. If this video helped you, a like is always appreciated. For more conversations like this, subscribe to Rainwish. Thanks for watching. Stay connected.